Good morning once again, everybody. This is Michael from Spades Consulting, and we are going to talk about boomers complaining about the system that they enabled, rewarded, and benefited from. So, I was randomly just scrolling through YouTube a couple days ago, and a video popped up of an old timer. Essentially, like he was doing a full on read like it was a documentary. Okay. Just, just bloated gaslight of, it's not really gaslight, but you know what I mean. This bloviated, uh, just rant, a very calm, but nevertheless a rant about the boomers and how a lot of boomers, at the very least, living out of their cars, mostly in Walmart parking lots early in the morning, talking about propane heaters and people, people cooking up instant coffee. And it's just like one in this very calm rant, this slew of complaints. The topic comes up, of course, about how the system is so cold and how the poor retirees don't deserve to have to live out of their cars, and it's dehumanizing and it's suffering and nobody cares, and it's just like, okay, okay, I get the point. Given I didn't get through the whole video, it was 44 minutes or longer, but there are some important things we have to cover. One, the idea of the boomers complaining. Um, this system, the system that we have today, it didn't fall out of the sky. This is the consequences of their generation bleeding through into today. Like the boomers who have lost their asses were the same boomers who were treating the Gen X workers under them and the millennial workers under them like shit for a long, long time. Oh, that's unfortunate. You remember the episode of South Park with the cable company and them rubbing their nipples every time that something came up that would be unfortunate? Yeah, that was the boomers for quite a long time. The same generation that went from being Woodstock hippies and Burning Man and free love, love is all you need. They turned the script really quickly. All right, they went from free love and love is all you need to fuck you, pay me really fucking quickly. Okay. The boomers who are complaining about the high price of housing right now are the same boomers who were pumping their 401ks full, investing in BlackRock and Blackstone and all the other blacks, company wise. These people put all of their retirement money, now given they might not necessarily been paying attention to where it was going, but they sure as shit were paying attention to the returns they were getting on it, because it wasn't just the 401ks. A certain amount of it was self-directed investing. Given they may have had to go through brokers back then for it, still, the point stands. The same boomers who are complaining about the cost of living right now are the same boomers who were rewarding companies who did the sleaziest, scuzziest, damn near criminal, if not over that line into criminal bullshit, all right, to generate the high returns. They benefited from this. Now that they get to the point when they start selling off all their assets, they're going to sit there and complain about how the world is so cold and so evil. It's just like, you realize when your underlings needed help and you told them to fuck off, you realize that this translates over time, right? You you benefited from all of this corporate scummery. You don't get to complain about it now. Like, the reason why the system is as toxic and as bad as it is because you went from Woodstock to Milton. All right, you went to Milton Friedman, and you went from fuck the man, fight against the man, fight against the system, to being the number one creators and participants of it. And the worst part is the boomers, they don't discriminate. They didn't just hate on and shit on the younger generation. They turned on each other because, quote unquote, whoever dies with the most toys wins. The idea that they'd complain about it now, it's just like, oh, so the system that you guys created, that you are the primary beneficiaries of, has now turned against you and is making life inconvenient. Well, that sucks. Okay? When the younger generations had problems, when the younger generations wanted raises to keep up with the inflation that the boomers were also benefiting from because they owned all the assets. Did you offer the youth wage increases? No. Did you offer them benefits? No. Did you offer anybody anything? No. You profiteered left and fucking right. You don't get to complain about it now. All right? Let me look through the notes I got here, which aren't really notes, but essentially what goes around comes around. All right? Like, I can go bullet point by bullet point here, but what goes around comes around. The idea that the boomers are going to get salty and complain about the high cost of living. It's just like, you guys benefited from this. Now, I know a good chunk of you just pissed all the money away, but companies that were treating their people well, okay, were not companies that you invested in. You invested in companies that gave you the best returns, so you can live in your McMansions, so you could literally roll your cars and have a new one in 3 days. Like, and this is the thing too. It's just like the same boomers who will complain about this. Like, I have been around for quite a few boomer stories, okay, about the kind of shenanigans and antics that they got up to back in their day. And just the realization, like, they'll talk about this, but they won't acknowledge the fact that the boomers went around drunk driving, smashing mailboxes, having a blast. They then turned around when it was inconvenient for them, when it was their mailboxes getting smashed, and when it was kids back then. Of course, they were older. It'd be the Gen X kids when the Gen X kids were having fun, getting drunk, driving, off roading, smashing mailboxes, doing their thing. The boomers fucking stomped right in and demanded changes, and they outlawed all of that kind of fun. Like, this is the thing, as a generation, you want to talk about being self-centered. Holy fucking shit. Oh my god. Really? Really? And it's the thing, like, it's one thing for me that I will never get past. Okay, and most of the millennials will never get past. Most of the Gen Xers will never get past. Gen Alpha and Gen Z, they don't even know just the full extent of it. Like, the boomers as a generation literally fucked up everything they could. And then, as soon as they saw that they could benefit more from playing by the rules of the system, They jumped into it, okay? And they used every justification to essentially strip mine the economy and turn it into a fucking husk, to turn it into a lifeless husk. Now, after all the years of the benefits of the dividends of the system, now they're sitting back like, oh my God, the houses are unaffordable. Yeah, yeah, they are. The houses are unaffordable. You know why they're unaffordable? Because when you were in your 40s and you decided to play the capitalism game, you know what you guys did? You created homeowners associations to keep the Negroes out. Legit. That's what happened. And it wasn't just the Negroes, it was all the other poor kids in the neighborhood who couldn't live by you. Yeah. What goes around comes around. Enjoy living in the cars. Enjoy it. Oh, my knees and my back. Knees and back? Now, given this doesn't just apply to me, obviously, but the amount of millennials that I know who have destroyed their bodies, okay, doing the work of 3 people for 1/10 the pay in terms of real, actual value. The amount of millennials I know, the amount of fucked up knees, fucked up backs, fucked up everything is insane. It's absolutely insane. As a generation, this ain't even a joke when you take the office workers out of it. When it comes to the actual labor economy, the millennials are all going to end up on disability by their 40s, all right? And this is primarily, talking about the younger millennials, but of course the older millennials are already there. But they've been doing the work of 3 people. So the boomers can get more dividends, more bonuses, more this, more that. They've been doing the work of 3 people for a long time. And they can't afford houses. They couldn't afford houses whether they were working the job of 3 people solo or not. The boomers didn't give a shit. The boomers did not care. They didn't give a damn. If any question of their ethics and morality came up, they ran to Milton Friedman. All right. They ran to hide behind the capitalist messaging. And now everybody's sitting around wondering, like, man, why is everybody becoming a socialist? What is all this communism? And it's just like, yeah, you're one to talk. The same generation that preached capitalism for all these years on Fox, on CNN, on all the major media platforms, they've been preaching capitalism for decades. Decades. Meanwhile, they expect Social Security, Medicare, and all the other programs. If they fucked up, they expect Section 8. If they fuck up, they expect food stamps. The boomers literally voted themselves communism. And they have no guilt. No guilt about that. All right? And they're also sitting there wondering, like, I suppose this is more of an off the cuff talk, but they're sitting there wondering, like, what's going to happen with all the inflation. And it's just like you realize that the economy that you guys left the Gen Xers and the millennials in particular, you realize you left us a strip mined husk of an economy. You literally destroyed the American economy for profit. And now you're coming to the realization that a country that can't produce anything except printed money is going to have to continue to print money. It's not going to be able to put value behind that money. It's just going to print to pay for all your benefits. And that it's just going to be inflating away your benefits. They don't seem to put two and two together. Yeah, you'll get your communism, you'll get your welfare, you'll get your Social Security. It's not going to buy you anything, especially in the next 5, 10 years, if we make it that long. Because I hate to tell you this, but part of the profiteering, you sent all the factories overseas, you sent them over to China. And now China has backdoors into the entire electric grid, the entire infrastructure of the internet, the entire phone structure. The Chinese literally have backdoors throughout every critical system in the United States because you made a buck off outsourcing it. Congratulations, you've not only strip mined the economy and left it a fucking husk, but you also have put the entirety of the country in such a risky position. Trump or no Trump, if the Chinese wanted to kill 98% of the population, they could fucking do it. They could do it. A lot of people don't realize this, but the back doors are everywhere. The weaknesses are everywhere. You knock out the power, most of the American population dies. We're not a young population anymore. Okay? And nobody's coming to save this country. Not even its own population. If America collapsed for any reason, no one's going to be sitting back thinking, "Oh God, we have to save the country." No, this country hasn't, especially with the boomers in charge of the economy. This country has generated no goodwill with the local inhabitants. The only thing people are going to be interested in is saving themselves. Okay, and their immediate friends, their immediate family, and themselves. Nobody's coming to save the day. The only reason anybody shows any interest in the federal government at all is because they want the power and they want the ability to print money for themselves. Okay? And just like with the revolving, and the boomers especially love to talk about the politics, it's just like, yeah, you guys have been in charge for literally ever now. Congratulations. What are you complaining about? You guys have been in charge of this show for more than 40 years now. And it's a fucking wreck. It's a shit show. Honestly, if anybody should complain, it should be the generations after you who've had to put up with this shit. Alright? You've got literal fucking zombies just barely clinging to fucking life on taxpayer funded life support. Alright? These Nosferatu fuckers are just sitting there soaking up money. All right, gambling with it's not even a gamble. Insider trading, turning their 100K a year salaries into $1 million mansions. Like, this is your generation. You guys fucked this up. And I've heard, another video to touch on was another one of these old boomers who was sitting there like, "We're all in this together, guys." Like, no, the fuck we're not. We're not all in this together. I'm sorry to fucking ruin the diatribe for you, but I'm sorry to burst the bubble. I'm really not, but I'll pretend to be. All right, we're not all in this together. You guys are going to. You guys have effectively locked in communism for yourselves by strip mining the economy and fucking over the youth. I don't know what to tell you. going back to the last video audio that I just recorded talking about the chemists, you won't even hire them. You won't hire the chemists. You'll hire Punjab in India because every cent you save is a penny saved for the shareholders, meh. Okay, enjoy the soup and crackers. Yeah, enjoy that shit. Because as soon as you fuckers die off, this ain't gonna be a country anymore. And that's the truth. Whether people want to acknowledge it or not, the only thing holding the United States as one continuous country is the boomers. Once the boomers are gone, it's going to get interesting. Because why the hell would the youth want to be like, take the Midwest? Why would the corn farmers want to pay for, through inflation or through taxes? Why would people in Indiana or Wyoming? Yeah, I suppose Wyoming too. But why in the hell would people in Kansas want to pay to prop up the welfare systems of California or New York? Like, does anybody ask these questions? What's going to happen is the entirety of the country is just going to disintegrate. Like, a lot of people expect it to go Civil War 2.0, and it's like, no, it's going to be more like the Balkans. Touching again on the previous video, more and more energy is going to go towards not so legal venues. Okay, because if you put people in the position where they cannot legally participate because you've put too many barriers to entry up, and then on top of it, they jump through all those hoops and you still won't employ them because, we have to worry about the shareholder value. Well, I suppose you're right, but the shareholder value isn't going to really mean much when the bullets start flying. Well, we have to worry about the shareholder value. What the fuck was that? And the Molotovs start flying because, congratulations, you offshored all the jobs and you outsourced everywhere you could, and you're just going to have a population of people who literally can't work to improve their lives. They can't provide for themselves. They can't work to provide for themselves and better their lives. So, what do you think they're going to do? Especially if you're going to target the welfare state. So if you go after the welfare state, then these people aren't. Essentially, that's another subject that I should touch on real quick. As part of the infinite insertions of the idea of general compliance, the welfare state is a compliance system. All right, when it comes to the modern non-boomer youth, it's a compliance system. If you don't pay the Dane Guild, okay, the people on welfare don't eat, don't have roofs over their head. All of a sudden, they have problems. Without the welfare state, honestly, the welfare state is probably part of the reason the United States can still call itself a first world country. Because without it, fucking look like Mogadishu. It would be really bad. Because you've made, given there are some people who obviously suck, but there are also people who did everything they could and tried everything they could to try to legally make a living in this country. And when you're put in a position where regardless of how hard you try, you can't succeed, when the system just refuses to employ you, you go to the welfare state. And if that ever fails, then obviously if the legal mechanisms aren't there to survive in this country, then people will explore the illegal ones. But back to the point. The boomers have very little room to complain about the consequences of their own actions. Is that's really what it comes down to. Whether it's housing, whether it's the fact that company, yeah, no. Oh my God, there's age discrimination. If you invested in a company, would you want that company to hire some 60-year-old curmudgeon who's, like me right now, just has like 32 muscle spasms and can really only push buttons on a cash register half-assedly? Okay, or are you going to want to hire the 20-year-old who is going to work for practically minimum wage and practically give their entire life away for the company because any job is a good job? If you were invested in a company, what would you want? You'd want more outsourcing. You'd want more this. You'd want more that. You'd want them to cut benefits because the more they cut benefits, the more you benefit. Cost savings. It's great, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry this video went this way, but honestly, I can't necessarily fight that the level of frustration that comes from this kind of a topic. And in my own personal life, I have dealt with the boomer mentality, where even with my own family, and this is many years ago, but I had just started making like 14.50 ish an hour, and when my family found out that I was making 14.50 an hour, some of the first things I heard was, "I never made that much in my entire life." And it's just like, Yeah, but it's inflated. It ain't worth shit." The 14.50 an hour, given at the time, that 14.50 an hour was pretty fucking good. But they were sitting there acting like I was rich all of a sudden. And it's just like, no, this'll cover the cost of a rental, a cheap car, and standard bills. Inevitably, and this is, again, more boomerisms. When I was young, I actually had my family turn on me because I was making, quote unquote, all this money, and I just love to spend money. And they legitimately turned on me because I wasn't handing out free cash. This isn't even a joke. This is boomers. This is my own family. This is personal example. They burned my ass. They burned the bridge with me because I was making more money than they have ever made per hour. Even though it was inflated, even though it wasn't worth shit. Nominally, I was doing pretty good. In reality, still broke. But they didn't care. They just wanted more from me. And honestly, that is the boomer mentality. Give us everything. And it's just like, no, you ain't getting shit. All right. Now, this is not to say that I necessarily hate all boomers. All right. There are some boomers who are decent. I won't take that away from them. But the consequences generationally have been impressively bad. And no generation after them should ever forgive them for what they've done. And we're going to be living with the consequences of their actions for quite a long time. And the chaos that is to come is going to be squarely put on their headstones. I'm going to end it here. You guys have a good one. This has been Michael from Spades Consulting. Check out the site, check out the Substack, and I'll see you next time.